you to.
Good evening and welcome to the Revere School Committee of the Whole meeting. Today is August 17th, 2021. It is currently 6:03. Roll call, please. 5:03. Thank you.
Mrs. Bronston Rizzo.
Here.
Mr. D'Ambrosio.
Here.
Mr. Ferranti.
Here.
Ms. Gravelisi.
Here.
Mr. Sanella. Ms. Ty.
Here.
Mayor Arrigo.
Okay, we're going to start off with the consent calendar. First item under that is approval of minutes from our July meeting.
Second.
Anyone, well, we'll approve the whole consent calendar. I'm just wondering if anyone had questions. Seeing none, we'll move on to warrants. Is there anyone that had any questions on warrants? Mr. Ferranti.
Thank you, Mr. Rizzo. Diane, I have 3 questions. On page 1, number 10, Nicole O'Neill for E-rate services, number 10.
So that's an annual fee that we pay to a consultant who files our E-rate reimbursement applications each year. It's a fixed rate, one annual expense.
So it's the same amount every year?
Yep.
Okay. Then on page 2, number 71, Haley Bus, $155,000. Is that just their regular fee that we pay them when it's prorated over the course of a year?
That's right, I believe we pay them monthly, but I can ask Mr. Cruz for a clarification on that.
And I have one more. On page 7, number 215, Sharon Ann Hoover for $21,000 contracted services.
That's Dr. Hoover, who we met with last month, who did our behavioral health audit,
Okay.
and she presented her findings to us at the last school committee meeting.
Okay. I'm good, thank you.
Anyone else have questions? Ms. Ty?
Just on the same page, please, number 7. I see that there are several people who got an honorarium, I assume from participating in some survey. Could you just explain what it was?
Yeah, and those are actually community members who participated in our equity audit, and as part of the grant requirement, they were afforded a stipend for their time. They engaged in survey completion and focus group work.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Any other questions under the warrants? Moving on, financial reports that we received copies of. Any questions on the financial reports? Mr. Ferranti?
Thank you, Ms. Rizzo. The only question that I really have is that I saw a lot of negative accounts in the teachers' payroll for all the schools, and I was just wondering why.
So I think that when you look at the overall amount of money that we spend on teacher salaries, there are some slight adjustments which can result, for example, if we, when we hire new positions, we typically put $60,000 in as a placeholder for that salary. Sometimes we hire somebody who has more years of experience or more degrees, and that number is actually higher than $60,000. So as we do those plus and minuses, you see these different amounts. But you know, overall, when you look through all of these accounts and add up all of the different differences, there's a positive result, not a negative one.
Okay. And my last question, on retirement incentives, we had a big negative. How many people actually retired that we actually paid?
Can you give me a page reference?
Yeah, page 1, number 34. On the general ledger account, it says benefits / retirement incentives. There's a minus 198,000 there. I know
Oh,
we
yeah.
only put 50 there, but were there more people retired? Obviously.
We did do the retirement incentive, and there were 4 or 5 people who took advantage of that. But I believe that these funds actually would have been reimbursed through our CARES funding that we got. I can check with that on that with Mr. Cruz as well.
Okay, I'm all set, thank you.
Anyone else with questions on financials? Moving on to food service. Any questions on the food service? Well,
I can just mention briefly that Mr. Cruz did put a number of notes on the cover page for the food services program that explains some of what you see here. There was a nice available balance of a little over $600,000 that will go into our revolving account. And that is because as the year progressed, we thankfully got more and more funding from the federal government to support our meals program, which left us with that positive final result. Those funds, like in all revolving accounts, have to be used for the program they were intended. And so as Mr. Cruz put, we will be looking this year in FY '22 to invest in capital improvements in our kitchens using some of that funding.
One question, Stacy?
yes, Mr. Ferranti?
Thank you. Diane, what schools are we looking at to renovate, to bring them up to the date? We have an idea?
I'll check with Cheryl on that. It's something that we do always, you know what I mean? Like, we don't let our kitchens go, so no kitchen is in a complete state of disrepair. But I'm sure there are always ways that we can create efficiencies or purchase new equipment that will help our cafeteria workers expedite their work.
So there's really nothing big per se for equipment or anything?
Not that I know of right now, but I'm sure Ms. Cole and her cafeteria managers will have some ideas.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, seeing nothing under communications, we move on to enrollment update. And Dr. Kelly, do you want to address that?
Yes, I feel like there's one more. Did we do the revolving accounts report?
It's not on here.
The third one,
Revolving account?
student activity plan.
I'm going by the agenda.
It's under the financial reports?
I asked if anyone, sorry. So does anyone have any more questions on the financial reports?
Oh, okay, sorry.
Okay, seeing none, we're moving on to the enrollment update. Any questions on the numbers? Or, Dr. Kelly, did you have any information that you wanted to offer?
No, I do want to just say that I know one of the things in the packet, I think it might be on the main meeting agenda, is to vote the student activity accounts. So I just wanted to, because that's a kind of financial thing, I wanted to mention that. In terms of the enrollment, I will note that as we shared with the committee, overall our number of transfers in exceed the number of transfers out by just about 200 students. So basically that brings us back to the pre-pandemic level of enrollment that we had. We do anticipate that we'll continue to see additional enrollments in the coming weeks as new families settle in and in some cases realize that we go to school earlier than a lot of other districts. So we anticipate that enrollment is going to increase in the near term. But we'll certainly keep you updated as we always do. I hope that one thing the committee recognized when they looked at the larger enrollment report by classroom and school is that we've been able to significantly reduce our class sizes overall. And that is thanks to the committee and your commitment to additional hiring through the Student Opportunity Act funding that we received this year. It gives us a chance to right-size classrooms wherever we can. The one school that I think has a persistent problem is the Paul Revere, and that's really a space issue more than a desire to decrease class size issue. If we had room to put additional teachers in that building, we would do that. Even so, their class sizes are better than they have been in the past, where they often saw classrooms with more than 30 students. They're now closer to an average of between 20 and 25.
Mr. Sinella?
Diane, I hear what you're saying, but now you look at Beachmont, they got 13, 13, and 14. If you took the 14 added 7, you'd have 20 and 20. And you're still talking at Parivia 26, 28, and 26. So, I mean, you have the luxury of hiring more people, you have space, but the class sizes are way out of whack.
Well, the problem is that, right, and we don't have the space at the Paul Revere. So we would have liked to have added a fourth grade, a second grade at Paul Revere, which are the numbers that you're talking about, Mr. Sinella. But there's literally no place to put a fourth teacher.
Well, we discussed this before with if parents were notified that they could go to a class in Beachmont with 13 children.
Yep.
Whatever happened to that?
Very few took us up on it, but we continue to encourage people that they can do that. I think it's a transportation piece more than anything else.
Dr. Kelly, I had a question about the kindergarten enrollment. Has that improved?
These numbers are pretty up to date. We know that there are some kids still in the queue at the PIC to get their paperwork processed so that they can be enrolled. But it is significantly lower than we have seen in the past. And we don't know that that's going to change significantly this year, or if parents are going to opt to keep those kids home for another year.
Chairperson, again to the superintendent, any possibility of a portable, 2 portable classrooms at the Paul Revere?
Something that we should...
Mr. Sinella, can you just move your microphone to the other side, only because it echoes off of Dr. Kelly's?
I can shut my mouth.
That's fine, thank you.
All right, the question was that the possibility of portable classrooms at the Paul Revere?
It's something that we could certainly look into. The question would be where you would park them or place them. It's a very small footprint that we have at that school, and there's not a lot of extra space.
Well, you just look at your parking lot out back, and teachers can park at, hopefully, at St. Anthony's and have a ferry taking them back and forth. I mean, these class sizes should not have to be when others are 13. I'm sorry, I don't agree with that. Find space. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sinella. And that parking lot is very small, and I know the neighbors complain a lot about even visitors at the school parking on the streets, and it doesn't allow them any parking spaces for their personal life. So I know it is a small footprint, but it's always something that we can look at in the future. Hopefully it gets better and not worse. Anyone else have a question in reference to the enrollment? Seeing none. Personal items, any questions on the new hires or retirements? It was nice seeing that long list of new hires.
Lisa, just one quick.
Mr. Ferranti.
Thank you. Diane, just on the leave of absence, we got Heidi's name there twice.
Mm-hmm.
We just clean that up.
Yes, thank you.
If I may.
Ms. Ty.
I noticed on leave of absence, number 13, teacher, Mr. Ciccarello. Didn't he, I read a big article in the paper which disappointed me that he was going somewhere else.
Yes, Mr. Ciccarello has taken a position at Peabody High School for the coming school year. And he's on a leave of absence from his job in Revere while he explores a new opportunity.
Which is something that many of our paraprofessionals and educators do instead of just completely jumping to see if the grass is greener on the other side.
Well, he's someone I'd certainly love to see come back because he's been so phenomenally successful. However, I can't say that it's something that a lot of teachers do or have the luxury of doing. But
Okay, we have no donations and no school field trips. So at that, I'll entertain a motion to accept the consent calendar as is.
so move, Madam Chair.
Second.
Okay. Ms. Ty made the motion, Mr. Ferranti with the second. So our second item, this is a very short meeting, unless there's surprises I don't know about. Any questions on the regular meeting agenda or anything miscellaneous that you might want to bring up or ask about?
On the personnel items, you had asked for some information on the reasons for resignation, and that is in your packet, I believe.
I have it under old business.
Oh, okay,
For the
all
other
right.
meeting.
Oh, okay, that's
Okay.
not on the main meeting? Okay,
It goes on, yeah.
okay.
Is everyone sure? No questions?
Just one?
Mr. Ferranti?
Thank you, Ms. Rizzo. Diane, is everybody doing remote tonight that's going to be speaking? Like Dr. Costa, Dr. Porter, Mr. Swenson, are they all doing remote or they?
I'm looking at Robin, I believe so. Okay.
Thank you.
That reminds me, I didn't notice the Zoom link on, the Zoom link is on the school committee meeting. I apologize. I know a couple of people had said they might want to participate during public comment, so, okay. With no question, Ms. Ty?
I just saw at number 14 resignation, Sarah Allington. Did he go to another school system as a principal or?
He did, so Mr. Arlington was the assistant principal at the Garfield Middle School, and he's actually, for the last 2 years, been commuting up from the Cape every day. And with a new family, small children, he took a job in Barnstable, where I'm sure he'll
Good
do a
luck.
great job expanding in the next phase of his career.
Well, good luck to anyone who decided to move on, and best of luck for all those doing the retirement. So at this point, if there's nothing else to bring up, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll second.
Who made the first? Carol, first for an adjournment, Michael for a second. So at 6:20, we will be adjourning, and we will be returning at 6 p.m. for our regular school committee. It's 5:20, I'm sorry, I'm just moving right along here. So we'll see you at 6 p.m. Thank you.